Hey there, science fans! Welcome to our countdown of the top 10 most shocking science experiments ever conducted. Get ready to dive into the world of science, where we explore the boundaries of knowledge, push the limits of understanding, and sometimes, well, things get a little controversial. We're talking about experiments that made headlines, sparked outrage, and forever changed the way we think about ethics in the pursuit of knowledge. Prepare to be amazed and maybe a little bit horrified by the lengths scientists have gone to in the name of discovery. So buckle up, get your safety goggles on, and get ready for a wild ride through the history of science's most shocking moments. Our first stop takes us back to 1971, to the basement of Stanford University's psychology department. Picture this, a mock prison, complete with cells, guards, and prisoners, all part of an experiment designed to study the psychological effects of power and authority. Led by Dr. Philip Zimbardo, the researchers recruited a group of college students, carefully screening them to ensure they were psychologically healthy and had no history of criminal behavior. They randomly assigned these young men to be either guards or prisoners. Now you might be thinking, what's so shocking about a bunch of college kids playing pretend? Well, things took a dark turn, and fast. The guards, given uniforms and instructions to maintain order, embraced their roles with alarming enthusiasm. They began to assert their authority, becoming increasingly aggressive and even cruel. The prisoners, stripped of their identities and referred to by numbers, experienced intense emotional distress, with some even suffering from breakdowns. The experiment, initially planned to last 2 weeks, had to be shut down after just 6 days due to the alarming psychological toll it was taking on the participants. The Stanford prison experiment became a chilling reminder of the power of situations to influence human behavior. It showed how easily seemingly ordinary people can succumb to the dark side when placed in positions of power. Our next experiment takes us deeper into the unsettling realm of human obedience. The year is 1961, Yale University. Psychologist Stanley Milgram designs an experiment to explore the limits of obedience to authority, particularly in the context of following orders that conflict with personal conscience. Here's the setup. Participants are told they are involved in a study about learning and memory. They are instructed to play the role of a teacher and administer electric shocks to a learner who is actually an actor in on the experiment every time the learner gives a wrong answer. Now here's the shocking part. The shocks weren't real, but the participants believed they were. As the experiment progressed, the learner would purposely give incorrect answers, and the teacher would be instructed to increase the voltage of the shocks with each wrong answer. As the voltage increased, the learner would cry out in pain, plead to stop, and eventually fall silent. Many participants, despite their own distress, continued to administer shocks, simply because the experimenter, an authority figure in a lab coat, urged them to continue. The results of the Milgram experiment sent shockwaves through the scientific community. Over 65% of participants were willing to administer what they believed to be potentially fatal electric shocks, simply because they were told to do so by an authority figure. Get ready for a story that's as fascinating as it is ethically questionable. In 1920, John B. Watson, a pioneer of behaviorism, set out to prove that fear could be learned. His subject, an 11-month-old infant known as Little Albert. Watson and his graduate student, Rosalie Rayner, exposed Little Albert to a series of neutral stimuli, such as a white rat, a rabbit, and a monkey. Initially, Albert showed no fear of these furry friends. Then came the conditioning. Watson paired the presentation of the white rat with a loud, startling noise, the sound of a hammer striking a steel bar. This sound naturally elicited a fear response from Little Albert, who would cry and crawl away. After repeatedly pairing the rat with the scary noise, Little Albert began to associate the two. Eventually, the mere sight of the white rat was enough to trigger fear and distress in the infant, even without the loud noise. The experiment demonstrated that classical conditioning could be used to create phobias, irrational fears, in humans. It raised serious ethical concerns about the use of children in research and the potential for psychological harm. Chapter 4. The Tuskegee Syphilis Study. A Betrayal of Trust. Prepare yourselves because this next experiment is one of the most infamous and ethically appalling in the history of medicine. From 1932 to 1972, the U.S. Public Health Service conducted a study on syphilis in Macon County, Alabama, known as the Tuskegee Syphilis Study. The study involved 600 African American men, 399 of whom had syphilis. These men were promised free medical care, but they were never told they had syphilis, nor were they given treatment for the disease. Instead, researchers wanted to study the natural progression of untreated syphilis in black men. Over the course of 40 years, the men were subjected to painful and unnecessary procedures, such as spinal taps, under the guise of receiving free treatment. Even when penicillin became widely available as a safe and effective treatment for syphilis in the 1940s, the men were denied access to it. The Tuskegee syphilis study had devastating consequences. Many men died from syphilis or related complications. The study also led to the spread of syphilis to wives and partners of the infected men, and some children were born with congenital syphilis. This horrific experiment exposed the deep-seated racism and disregard for human life that can infect scientific research when ethical principles are ignored. Chapter 5. The Monster Study: The Power of Words. Imagine being a child told that the way you speak is wrong, even shameful. That's the unsettling premise behind our next experiment, known as the Monster Study. Conducted in 1939 at the University of Iowa, Wendell Johnson, a speech pathologist, wanted to study the effects of positive and negative feedback on speech fluency in children. He recruited 22 orphans, some of whom had stutters, and divided them into two groups. One group received positive speech therapy with praise and encouragement for their fluency. The other group received negative speech therapy with harsh criticism of their speech imperfections, even if they didn't actually stutter. The results were heartbreaking. The children subjected to negative speech therapy experienced significant psychological distress. Some developed speech problems that persisted throughout their lives, even though they had no prior history of stuttering. The Monster Study highlighted the profound impact of language and labeling on a child's development. It also raised serious ethical concerns about the use of vulnerable populations in research and the potential for long-term harm. Chapter 6. The Aversion Project, a Dark Chapter in South Africa. Prepare to be outraged as we delve into one of the most chilling examples of science used for social control and discrimination. From the 1970s to the 1980s, during the apartheid era in South Africa, a unit of the South African Defense Force conducted a series of horrific experiments on an estimated 900 gay and lesbian soldiers and conscripts. The goal of the Aversion Project was to eliminate homosexuality within the military ranks. Led by Dr. Aubrey Levin, the project used a range of barbaric techniques including electric shock therapy, chemical castration, and forced sex change operations. Soldiers and conscripts identified as homosexual were subjected to these treatments without their consent. They were often tortured and abused, both physically and psychologically. Many were left with lifelong trauma and lasting physical and emotional scars. The Aversion Project stands as a horrifying testament to the dangers of prejudice and the perversion of science to serve political agendas. It is a stark reminder of the importance of fighting for human rights and protecting the vulnerable from exploitation and abuse. Our journey through shocking science experiments takes us now to a dark chapter in human history, to the horrors of World War II. From 1937 to 1945, the Imperial Japanese Army conducted gruesome human experiments in a secret facility known as Unit 731, located near Harbin, China. Led by General Shiro Ishii, Unit 731 used prisoners of war, including Chinese, Russian, Korean, and American soldiers, as well as civilians, as human guinea pigs for their twisted experiments. The atrocities committed at Unit 731 are almost too horrific to comprehend. Prisoners were subjected to vivisection without anesthesia, infected with deadly diseases, used to test biological weapons, exposed to extreme temperatures and pressures, and forced to endure unimaginable torture. It's estimated that thousands of men, women, and children died at the hands of Unit 731. The full extent of the horrors committed there may never be known, as many records were destroyed by the Japanese military at the end of the war. Unit 731 stands as a chilling reminder of the depths of human cruelty and the urgent need to prevent such atrocities from happening again. Chapter 8. The Harlow Monkey Experiments: Love, Attachment, and Loss. Get ready to have your heartstrings tugged, because our next experiment involves some adorable, yet deeply troubled, primates. In the 1950s and 1960s, psychologist Harry Harlow conducted a series of controversial experiments on rhesus monkeys at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. Harlow's research focused on the nature of love and attachment. He separated infant monkeys from their mothers shortly after birth and raised them in isolation chambers. Inside these chambers, the baby monkeys had access to two surrogate mothers, one made of wire mesh but equipped with a feeding bottle, and the other covered in soft terry cloth but lacking a bottle. Harlow observed that the infant monkeys clung to the cloth mother for comfort and security, even though the wire mother provided nourishment. This demonstrated that physical contact and comfort were essential for emotional development and attachment. However, the experiments took a dark turn. Monkeys raised in isolation exhibited severe social and emotional problems. They were withdrawn, anxious, and aggressive. When they became mothers themselves, they were often neglectful or abusive towards their own offspring. The Harlow monkey experiments, while providing valuable insights into attachment theory, also sparked intense ethical debates about the treatment of animals in research and the potential for psychological harm. Chapter 9. Project MKUltra, Mind Control and the CIA. Hold on to your tinfoil hats, folks, because things are about to get spooky. From the 1950s to the early 1970s, the CIA embarked on a top-secret program known as Project MKUltra, aimed at developing mind control techniques for use in espionage and interrogation. The project involved a wide range of experiments, many of which were conducted on unwitting subjects, including CIA employees, military personnel, doctors, other government agents, prostitutes, mentally ill patients, and members of the general public. MKUltra researchers experimented with a variety of mind-altering drugs, including LSD, hypnosis, sensory deprivation, electroshock therapy, and other forms of psychological torture. The goal was to find ways to control behavior, erase memories, and create programmable assassins. The full extent of MKUltra's activities remains shrouded in secrecy, as many records were destroyed in 1973 on the orders of then CIA Director Richard Helms. However, enough information has come to light to paint a disturbing picture of government overreach and a blatant disregard for human rights. Project MKUltra serves as a chilling reminder of the potential for abuse of power and the importance of government transparency and accountability. Chapter 10. The Large Hadron Collider, Black Holes, and the End of the World. Our final entry takes us to the cutting edge of science, where we explore the awe-inspiring power of the Large Hadron Collider, the world's largest and most powerful particle accelerator. Located at CERN, the European Organization for Nuclear Research near Geneva, Switzerland, the LHC smashes protons together at nearly the speed of light. Now you might be wondering, what's so shocking about smashing tiny particles together? Well, when the LHC was first fired up in 2008, there was widespread fear and speculation that it might create microscopic black holes that could swallow the Earth. Of course, these fears were unfounded. Scientists assured the public that any black holes created in the LHC would be incredibly tiny and would evaporate almost instantly. The LHC has been instrumental in advancing our understanding of the fundamental building blocks of the universe. It played a key role in the discovery of the Higgs boson, a particle that gives other particles mass. The LHC is a testament to human ingenuity and our insatiable curiosity to explore the mysteries of the cosmos. It reminds us that while science can be awe-inspiring, it's essential to approach new discoveries with a healthy dose of skepticism and to rely on the expertise of scientists to guide our understanding. Wow, we've covered some ground today. From the depths of human cruelty to the frontiers of scientific discovery, we've explored some of the most shocking and thought-provoking experiments ever conducted. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more fascinating content. Remember, science is a powerful tool that can be used for good or for evil. It's up to us to demand ethical conduct, to question authority, and to use our knowledge to create a better future for all. Let us know in the comments which experiment shocked you the most. Stay curious.